Call to order this regular meeting of the Monument Town Council, Monday, February 2nd. Please rise. We have a guest, Tyler Ramsey, Scout. He's going to lead us in the pledge tonight.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Ms. Erickson, we take roll, please.
Kind.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem King.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Fiorito.
Present.
Councilmember Chronic.
Here.
Councilmember Kimple.
Here.
Councilmember Abbott.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, before us we have, do we have any conflicts of interest?
No, Mayor.
All right, now we have an agenda and a consent agenda. Any modifications or changes to the agenda? If not, I will look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda and consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Did that go through? Oh, I didn't see it. Okay. I assume it passed 7-0. All right, first up, presentation by the Pikes Peak Regional Building Department.
We come to you guys to present our numbers for the year, and then I kind of broke things down specifically to Monument to give you guys an idea on the permit numbers as well as the location of a lot of the projects. So I will zip through this fairly quickly for you guys. Stop me if you have any questions. So in 2025, we had a big boom in commercial construction. New apartments more than tripled. We had more than 4,100 apartments reach completion. So a lot of those are going to be your projects that were permitted probably 2 to 3 years ago. Single family home construction did drop just slightly. Re-roof permits dropped significantly, coming off a couple years when we didn't have a, knock on wood, did not have a significant hailstorm. So those numbers have continued to drop. And then the total estimated valuation increased for the first time in 3 years. On the left, you'll see kind of our breakdown month by month and then totaled up at the bottom. You'll see 2025, we came in at just over 2,800. So we were down slightly compared to 2024, but up compared to 2023 when we had a really slow year, but then not anywhere close to the crazy busy years that we had in 2020 and 2021. On the right, you'll see the new commercial numbers, obviously broken down by month to month and then totaled up at the year at the bottom. You can see we were at 398. That's up pretty significantly compared to 2024. So the breakdown of the single family homes, we came in at 2,811. That was down 1%. And then the breakdown of the different types of single family homes that we have here, we have detached homes. We had 2,347. Townhomes had a really good year with 375. That's up 37% on townhomes. And then duplexes, we came in at 90 permits. Permits for duplexes are a little bit unique. It's 1 permit equals out to 2 units. So that's why there's 90 permits and then 180 units. The breakdown by the jurisdictions, we serve 8 jurisdictions here in the Pikes Peak region, Monument being one of them. Colorado Springs led the way with 1,489. That was up just slightly, up 2%. El Paso County was just over 1,000 with up 1%. Monument, you guys came in at 140, down 27%. Fountain was flat with 64 or just down slightly with 1%. Woodland Park came in with 15. Palmer Lake with 3, Manitou with 2, and then Green Mountain Falls with 0.
So when you do these monument calculations on here, is that within the town borders or is that a monument zip code and address?
So I'm totaling it up by when your zoning authority is involved in the permit. So
Okay.
if basically if your zoning authority is looking at it, I'm counting that up.
Okay, so all the numbers for monument will be within the town boundaries.
It's my understanding, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And we will get into some maps that you'll see. There will be some permits that are on there that are outside of monuments limits, but they're close, so they're on the map, and I'll point those out whenever we get to them.
Thanks.
So here's a visual for you guys. This is obviously zoomed out. El Paso County is quite large, so the map has to be zoomed out quite a bit. All of those green triangles are going to be your detached homes. The red triangles are going to be your townhomes. Orange triangles will be your duplexes. There are plenty of purple squares on there that are going to be your apartments. There are a few pink stars. They're kind of hidden a little bit, but there were a few condos permitted last year, a couple of which are here in Monument. We'll talk about that. And then the yellow trapezoids are going to be your hotels. It was a busy year for hotels in the Pikes Peak region. So here's a look at the Monument area. The majority of the activity is happening on the east side of I-25 in the Jackson Creek area. You'll notice on the west side of I-25, that's where we've seen a lot of growth over the past couple years. It did slow down pretty significantly. I believe you have Willow Springs. That's probably the closest area to I-25. I think that is going to technically be Monument. And then Forest Lakes further to the west is going to be close to Monument, but technically in El Paso County. So here's a look at the numbers a little bit further broken down. Single family homes, again, 140 for Monument. It's the second year in a row housing has dropped, and it's the fewest number of new homes you've seen in the Monument area since 2015 when it was also 140. Monument neighborhoods, Jackson Creek had 56. That was down 40%. Home Place Ranch had a solid year with 40 new homes going into that community. That's up 43%. Monument Junction had 39. Cloverleaf had 15, and then Willow Springs, as I mentioned, on the west side of I-25 had 2. Single family estimated valuation was 96 million. That's down 19% compared to 2024. And then the residential alterations, we had 1,339. That's up just slightly, up 1%. And the estimated valuation on the alterations was just over 9 million.
There's Willow Springs filing 3, I believe, still has quite a bit more to go yet. All those improvements are done, and we have that annexation coming back.
So here's a look at the maps for you guys. On the left, you'll have Monument Junction at a total of, now that I'm seeing it actually up there, it's a little hard to see. On the right, you'll have Jackson Creek with 56, and then just to the north of Jackson Creek on the other side of Higbee Road is Cloverleaf with 15 homes going in there. You'll also notice the purple squares there. That's where your new apartments will be going in right next to the high school there. Home Place Ranch, as I mentioned, a lot of growth happening here. 40 new homes going into Home Place Ranch. Forest Lakes and Willow Springs. Forest Lakes had 5, and then Willow Springs had just the 2 homes in that area. Breakdown by neighborhood, and this is not just Monument, but this is the top 10 neighborhoods in the Pikes Peak region. The Falcon area led the way with 277, up 19%. Wolf Ranch had a really strong year in Northeast Colorado Springs, up 93%. Banning Lewis had 250, Sterling Ranch 245, Lorson Ranch 142, Skyview Village in the southeast part of Colorado Springs 122. Percheron is the brand new community just north of Banning Lewis on the north side of Woodman. That opened up last year with 95 new homes. Bradley Heights down to the southeast of the Colorado Springs Airport, 95. The Glen, 67. And then Aspen Ranch down in Fountain with 62. Re-roof permits, this is what I always refer to as the big blue blob. So we did issue a lot of re-roof permits last year, 10,703. That's why it looks like a big blue blob. But it is actually down pretty significantly, down 34% compared to 2024. And 2024 was actually down significantly compared to 2023, when, as you guys might remember, a pretty nasty hailstorm came through in June of 2023. Okay, commercial numbers. New commercial, we were at 398. That was up 31%. Large increase on the commercial side of things, and it's the first time we've seen an increase in commercial construction in 4 years, so dating back to 2021. That was largely boosted by the big increase in the number of new multifamily projects. We had 2,744 new apartment units permitted last year. That's up 227%. We did have one unique renovation project that I wanted to point out. Basically, they're renovating an old office in Colorado Springs into apartments. We don't see this very often. We've seen it a little bit with hotels being renovated to apartments, but very rarely do we see an old office building converted. So 32 small units near downtown Colorado Springs. On the flip side, we also had 4,175 units completed, so reach a full certificate of occupancy. That's a 10% increase over 2024, and it's the third year in a row we've seen an increase of new units coming online, opening up to renters. So if you look at those numbers, 2023 we were just over 3,000, 2024 we were at almost 3,800, and then last year, 2025, we were at almost 4,200 units finishing up and coming online. Because we did have a large number of units get permitted towards the end of the year, the number of units under construction as of right now actually went up. We've been going down for several years as a lot of those older projects finish up. But in the month of November alone, we had 5 projects permitted and then 2 more in December, one of which was the one here in Monument. So the number of actual construction or units under construction ramped up towards the end of the year because we just had a huge increase in the final 2 months. So here's a look at the apartment projects. I won't go through all of these, and this isn't all of them. There was a total of 13. I'll point out, obviously, the Maverick at Monument. That's the one in Monument, as you would imagine. The number of all of the ones listed with the asterisk, I'll point those out. Those are all projects that the city of Colorado Springs, those are all in the Springs, are affordable. And I'll put air quotes on that. We don't determine what is affordable. The city in this case determines it to be affordable. I just simply mention it because it's typically of high interest. I run our social media page and we post about apartments and all different types of projects. And typically that always comes up for either comment or question. Are any of them affordable? So I do point them out that they are affordable, but it's not up to us to decide that. We do our reviews in the same way, whether it's an affordable project, a mid-level, or a luxury. It all gets reviewed and inspected the same way from RBD. Commercial permits outside of multifamily projects. The American Furniture Warehouse, the second one on the east side of Colorado Springs, that's a $45 million project. The new giraffe exhibit going in at the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo, that's a really unique and cool project, $25 million project there. We had 5 new hotels totaling up 650 total rooms, the largest being the After Sunset Hotel and Resort. It's a $22 million project, more than 200 rooms, and that is just outside the Ford Amphitheater in the Northgate area. El Pomar Conference Center, that's a $19 million project near the Broadmoor. That's a little bit of a unique one. It's a little bit of a demo, but it's also a large addition going in to add a conference center, and that's kind of tucked in right behind the Broadmoor as you're heading up to the zoo. Jenkins Middle School, you guys might be familiar with this project. This is the school that had some structural issues. A large chunk of that school had to be demoed. This expansion is basically putting back what they lost. And then the El Paso County Sheriff's Office is adding a substation out into the Falcon area because of all the growth that they're seeing out there. New restaurants, I mentioned this because on social media, this is pretty much what everybody cares about. Everybody's super excited when a new restaurant is coming to town. El Pollo Loco is a renovation project on Fillmore in Colorado Springs that is open. Pizza Ranch, also a renovation of an existing space that is in the Austin Bluffs and Academy area. Texas de Brazil is under construction right outside Ford Amphitheater. Guthrie's Golden Fried Chicken is on South Nevada. I wasn't familiar with this, but apparently it's very popular in Alabama and Georgia. And I've been told it's very similar to a Raising Cane's. The Brit, this isn't a new restaurant. It's just moved into a new place. English Pub moved into the apartment complex located just to the south of the Switchback Stadium. That is open, up and running. And then Roth's Sea and Steak, that is a upscale fine dining place located basically connected to Ford Amphitheater on the back side of the sound wall. Also open. Some of the projects completed last year, the Integris project in the Rockrimmon area, this was a roughly $115 million project, I believe permitted back in 2023. That is finished. The Hunter Apartments downtown, 2 King Supers projects, 1 in Fountain, 1 in Flying Horse. Both of them are open. The Colorado Springs Airport opened up an international customs area. If you guys remember, Southwest Airlines started flying direct to Mexico, so they had to build a customs area. So that is now complete. And then the Colorado Springs Fire Department opened up Station 24 in the Interquest area. Estimated valuation for all construction, $3.7 billion with a B, and that is up 8% compared to 2024. Okay, monument commercial projects, 70 permits, that's up 6%, and that includes all of the subs as well. The 2 large projects are going to be your 2 warehouses. One of them is 250,000 square feet, $26.5 million project. The other is a 114,000 square foot warehouse at just over 12 million. You had the Triview Metro District office, that is a $3.5 million project. The Panda Express. You have another core and shell food and retail combo type of building, a DQ, Subway, and a sauna and spa is going in there. And then the Woodmore water tank at $1 million. Commercial estimated valuation, you guys came in at 92 million. That is up 246%, so a very large increase, largely because of those 2 large warehouses projects. That's very, very large. Commercial alterations, you guys were up 12%, and one of them that I pulled out was the Lewis Palmer Career and Innovation Center. That was a $4.5 million project. The apartments, as I've mentioned, the Maverick at Monument, that's right just to the south of Lewis Palmer High School. It's under construction there, mainly moving a lot of dirt so far, but that is underway. 348 units, just over 46 million. And you guys also permitted a couple of condo units on Front Street, 2 small units totaling up 585,000. Plan to review numbers. I'll zip through these very quickly. 2,672, that's down just 7% on new single family plans coming into our office. Residential alterations were down. New commercial multifamily, we were down just slightly. Commercial alterations also down. And then total plans, we were at 11,629. That's down just 6%. Inspections, we had a busy year, 266,077 inspections. That's down 10% compared to 2024. And that is largely, again, because of those the re-roof permits. We didn't do nearly as many re-roof inspections as last year. So that kind of led to that 10% decrease. At the end of the year, we had 55 inspectors working out in the field. The department averages just over 1,000 each day. And the daily average for each of our inspectors is about 20 to 21. And we are still offering same-day inspections on everything except for roofing and elevator. And we're very proud of that. We're one of the only states, building departments in the state to be able to offer same-day inspections. That's really huge for our local builders to kind of keep them moving along with the process. The public GIS mapping tool, so the green triangles that I always bring to you guys don't have access to that, but you do have access to this. It functions all the same, just looks a little bit different. Personally, I like green triangles instead of red dots. That's pretty much what it comes down to. So you guys are able to set things on the left side, filters. You can set it specifically to monument to look at only the permit activity happening in your area. So you could play around there for hours, or you could just wait until I come in the next year and I'll give my report again. You guys have seen this before. It hasn't changed, and that's something we're very, very proud of. We have the lowest fees in the entire state of Colorado, and if you compare us to some of our friends up to the north, not even close. So we're very proud that we have the lowest fees, and we have not raised our fees in 20 years. We've already approved our budget for this year, so we're working on 21 years that we have not raised fees. Last thing I have for you guys is we have a number of free classes that we offer, and we have a Contractor 101 coming up later this week. We still have a couple of slots available for that. We'll also have another Contractor 101 in March. We do that every month on the first Wednesday of each month. We also have a homeowner permitting class that's coming up on February 12th. The residential realtor class is on the 18th, and then the commercial property class is on March 10th. And with that, I will answer any questions if you have any. And my boss, Roger Lovell, our building official, is also here if you have any other questions that I can't handle.
Thank you, Greg. Questions, comments from the council?
Hey, great presentation. I know I've asked this question in your previous briefs.
Every year.
We're going to go back to the drones. Are we using drones to do inspections and aiding in any of the permitting when you're doing the properties and stuff like that?
We are not using drones at this time. I think Roger can touch on it if he'd like, but at this point, I think even the roofs, we want to be able to be hands-on. And actually, if we need to touch the actual roof, a drone would not be able to do that. Our guys are trained to get in and out very, very quickly, but they're getting up on every single one of those roofs that they're inspecting.
Okay, thanks.
Roger Lovell, Regional Building Official. We have looked at possibly using drones, but a drone can't lift up the corner of the shingle. Check for under. Additionally, when you start to look at liability and the cost or the time to launch the drone versus throw a ladder up, still makes sense at this point in time to continue to put people on the roof.
Volunteering.
No, no, just one example. One of the reasons why I bring it up is where I work. And now that I've been there for a while, I have, I'll just say, agents or individuals call me direct to put drones up in airspace that we are responsible for or have to protect. And they do roofing inspections or commercial real estate or evaluate land, that kind of thing. So I was just wondering if you guys do the same thing. I was leading into other, there's now other issues about drone zones and protection of airspace and areas that we're involved in. So that's why I asked. I was just curious.
Other questions? Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Greg. Good to see you again.
Yep. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, next up, we have resolution 08-2026, resolution initiating annexation proceedings for certain property to be known as Town of Monument, Beacon Lite Road, Water Tank Site annexation and findings. The petition for annexation to be in substantial compliance with section 3112-107. This is a really long resolution title.
That's my presentation. Thank you very much.
Hi.
Well, we started this earlier this year on January 5th. You approved a resolution number 2 this year, authorizing Madeline to file a petition for annexation for a portion of Beacon Lite Road up to the water tank site that is owned by the Town Monument. The next step in that process then is to determine that the application is in substantial compliance with the Annexation Act. And if it is, council would then adopt the long titled resolution and name a public hearing date for that annexation. Just for everyone here in the room, the portion of the Beacon Lite Road that we're talking about is up north of Highway 105, up to and just past the water tank site on Beacon Lite Road. If you notice, this is our 3-mile map that you approved recently, and where we did identify the potential annexation into Palmer Lake. This annexation actually stops at that southern border. This is the plat of annexation that was included in your packet, and it just shows specifically the boundaries of that annexation. Again, it's annexation of the right of way, and in addition to the water tank site. And that's why it's called the Beacon Lite Road Water Tank Site Annexation. We've completed the first resolution. Tonight's resolution will be defined that the annexation application is in substantial compliance with the Municipal Annexation Act. Again, we'll come back with at a public hearing. We'll do we'll ask you to do a resolution establishing findings and conclusions for that annexation, and then an ordinance adopting or approving the annexation itself. And we'll then modify our maps and submit the plat of annexation to the county for their records. Jumped right all the way to the conclusion really fast. We've confirmed that the annexation application is in substantial compliance, and that and we're recommending that you set a public hearing date for March 16th of 2026. And if you do that tonight, I will begin doing public notice in the paper. We publish it 4 times in the newspaper. We provide notification to our agency partners at the county and other districts that would be affected by the annexation. And then we also notify everyone in proximity to the annexation, not only letting them know about the annexation, but giving them the option to join in and become part of that annexation or at a later date. This is similar to what we did for Old Denver Road. It's not different or special. We are just following the process for annexation per the state act. And with that, I would ask for any questions, and then if you could make a motion and approve approve this resolution that I provided to you.
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome. How was that?
That's great.
Excellent.
Anybody want to discuss Beacon Lite Road annexation?
It's pretty straightforward.
All right. who
I have
wants-
some questions,
Oh.
because you know how this goes. I just want to make sure we're covering ourselves in this. So notifying the adjacent property owners on a flagpole annexation. Has that been done?
We haven't done anything yet since you haven't set the public hearing date, but I do have a draft public notice that will be going to those and the other parties that would be that are required to be notified per the Plat Act.
Because I think, if I'm correct, that that the adjacent property owners that are allowed to annex in under the same terms and condition need to decide whether or not that they want to be part of it within 45 days of the hearing, which if we set a hearing date on March 15th, it still isn't 45 days away. So how does that work?
That will be a detail that I'll have to work out with our town attorney. But we do have that in the schedule right now as one of the steps. The specific language to that letter covering what you're talking about is something I still need to work with Mr. Cole on.
Okay, because what I'm saying is we're less than 45 days on March if we go to March 16th.
I'll confirm that with him.
Okay, so there's a possibility we may have to continue that.
Yes, there's always a possibility of that, but
Okay,
yes,
I just wanna
I
make
appreciate
sure-
you bringing that up.
I just want to make sure we're covered so that we meet all the statute on this.
Mr. Cole and I are going back and forth quite a bit. There's other little T's that need to be crossed as well. So we're in communication on that, and we'll make sure that it's legal going forward.
Okay. Thank you.
About like one day, right?
No, it's 45 days that somebody has to notify the town whether or not they want to be part of it. And
So
I
would it be from
follow.
Today, though?
well, it's where the hearing went before the hearing date.
Yeah, I'll have to follow up with Bob on that one, but I understand what you're talking, or your concern on that, and I think we need to make sure there's nothing to prevent us from having you continue the hearing to another date certain. But I'll make sure with Bob that we've got that covered.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
No, not a public hearing. The next one would be. I will look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 08 2026, a resolution initiating annexation proceedings for certain property to be known as Town of Monument Beacon Lite Road Water Tank Site Annexation, and finding the petition for annexation to be in substantial compliance with Section 31, TAC 12, TAC 107, CRS.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. It's asking for your vote.
I know, and I'm trying to get there. Just trying to use my pen.
The motion passes 7-0. All right, we have up next a discussion item, proposed ordinance for preventing municipal water to flow north into Division 1. There's no name attached to this, but I assume it is Mayor Pro Tem King. Mayor Pro Tem King, the floor is yours.
Okay, I wanted to bring this up because we are annexing Beacon Light potentially, and we may have some people that will want to jump in on this annexation. We're also building a new water tank, and we are installing new water lines. So that part of it's very visible as well. But with I'm going to call it the Pueblo Water Act, even though it's really not that. The pact that we have, generally speaking, with Pueblo, we cannot allow any of our water to flow north of the divide if in fact we decide with our renewable water sources that we hook up with the northern delivery system. The loop doesn't have that same restriction, but it does with the northern delivery system. So I just want to make sure that we don't cut one of our renewable water sources out of potentially being one of our renewable options, because if in fact we decide to go that route, my understanding is that we're going to have to go through a 1041 permit, which is very difficult and time consuming and expensive. So if in fact we decide at some point we hook up with the loop and we don't need to worry about that, we can amend the ordinance or delete it or whatever we need to do to fix that. But in the meantime, I just don't want to put the town at risk. So I don't want any of our municipal water sources to go north of the divide, which drains into the Division 1 Platte River Basin. Does that all make sense to everyone here?
Sure.
Okay. And I drafted up an ordinance that's a draft, and that's what's in the packet. Obviously, this needs to have legal review and I'm sure a whole bunch of tweaks. So what we're going to do is give direction. Is that what we're doing with this discussion? So I would propose that we give direction to proceed with that.
I like this effort, and like Mayor Pro Tem Steve King said, if we decide to go with the loop, this becomes Mox Nix, no longer needed, and we can rescind it, modify it, keep it, what have you. But yes, to say that Pueblo is nitpicky is the understatement of the century. So I think this would help us if we happen to go with NDS, and we do have and still retain the ability to annex areas that are could potentially be north of the Division 1, in which case we would service with well water, for example. But this gives us options. This gives us a wider latitude, and I like this effort. So
I like this too, but I think given that past discussions have included the options to possibly connect to both systems, I think that if we keep the ordinance in place and not rescind it, otherwise we would have to put it back in place, especially when we're talking bifurcation systems and things like that, that get more expensive. I think that this is a great ordinance in its draft form, and I look forward to seeing attorney's office make sure that we're compliant with all state statutes and whatnot as it pertains to water. I know that there was discussion about getting with our water attorney, and I have not seen any further communications on that come back.
I think additional communications are big. That's my understanding, so.
Okay.
And would we even need a water attorney to look at this because we're,
I would as well.
Okay.
I would think so.
I'd like to just add a comment if I may. See if I got
You are a
it.
water attorney?
No,
Today.
but anyway, I want to make sure everybody understands that when you're talking about waters, the difference between Division 1 and Division 2 at that divide, they're talking about water that seeps into the ground. So if you're supplying a development of any kind, and that water is coming back to the town through a sanitary sewer collection system, that's not water is draining into Division 1. It's coming back. So what's happening is any type of a sprinkler type system, water that would come out of our supply and fall to the ground, theoretically is what's going to drain to the South Platte River Basin instead of the Arkansas. And that's where usually the conflict comes into play. So just so you understand it, we're talking about any water that hits the ground would be a problem. Water that doesn't, it's like they're in the same place we are here. It doesn't affect Division 1 at all.
right, but, and then there's also fire mitigation and other things. So I just don't want to have to jump through the hoops to do this 1041 permit until we know where we're standing with renewable sources. Because we don't service anyone north of the divide. So right now is the time to be proactive.
Okay, so does staff,
Oh, yeah, no, I'm fine with this. It goes along in line with what we've been doing the last 3 years of like really tightening up our code and looking at things and being more intentional. So I'm all for this. That's all I want to.
okay, so staff has direction. Right, okay.
I had one comment too. Sorry. I was just curious, and maybe, I don't know, a question for Dan is calling, the Palmer Divide itself is kind of do we have a map that defines that?
It's defined, it's a defined geological fixture
Right,
on the earth.
right. So should we consider attaching a map as reference to this was going to be my comment.
Well,
Just to prevent
that's
any-
probably a good legal question. And in this ordinance, it gives the Public Works Director the ultimate decision
choice, yeah.
maker on it. But, it's pretty clear which way the water drains. You can drive through Palmer Lake and tell which way the water is going to drain.
Definitely.
You can for sure do it on Beacon Lite.
I'm just thinking it'd be great to have a map if we could reference that map, and that would
Sure.
prevent any confusion.
Yeah, no, and I
Yeah,
agree.
yep,
I
yeah.
agree. That's,
Perfect
Something
job
with-
for a JS person.
yeah, if we only had a GIS.
It's only-
We'll use what our attorneys recommend in order to make this, whatever outcome it needs. So if that needs a map or it doesn't need a map, we'll look to our attorneys to make that decision.
Only if we had somebody that
could
does like
But
map
somebody
and GIS
Maybe if they
stuff.
were employee of the year.
We do definitely, but our water attorneys, our water engineers might actually have more resources. So
Sure,
I'm
of
not
course.
sure that we'll use our GIS tech.
Can you add a section to the website that says, do I live north or south of the divide?
I have that map in my office on the wall. So I can reprint it or send it. It shows
Whatever
it-
you guys decide. It's all good. We're just.
shows the divide all the way extending into Palmer Lake
Please
and all the
visit
way
Tom's
east to
office.
Woodmore.
Okay, we can
Thank
move
you.
on.
Yes.
All right, public comment. For items not on the agenda, individuals attending in person may raise their hand to indicate their desire to comment. Individuals attending via Teams may raise their hand digitally to comment via connected devices. Please lower your hand when finished with your comments. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Is there anybody in town hall that would like to provide public comment? Yes, sir. If you can come up, please, and tell us who you are and sign up on the sheet, that would be great. And Ms. Erickson will put a stopwatch to you.
Sure. Ooh, which one's that? Oh, right there. Okay, go. I have a question about,
Can you tell us who you are?
sorry, Rick Gorham. Ordinance enforcement or reporting, following up with that. Me and another neighbor have a concern in our neighborhood. A resident there has put an electric fence up on our properties. And we submitted a complaint about 2 months ago. Haven't heard a word. Fence is still there. Up through the town's website, through the submit a complaint link. Is there somebody I could poke? Or you guys can poke?
You're poking them.
Yeah, everybody has been getting poked since
Yeah.
you said that.
Sorry. We do have your complaint. We will have a code enforcement person on staff within the next week. The fact that someone hasn't reached out to you is more concerning to me, and we will take a look at this tomorrow and start a conversation.
You guys were there last night. I chatted with a couple of them.
Oh,
So,
great.
I think you did.
Is this like an underground dog fence or is this like a
No.
electric fence above ground?
They put 2 layers of it.
Wow.
It's not. I even asked the individual putting it up. I said, is that an invisible fence or an electric fence? Because it was on my fence on my property. They put one about 2 feet off the ground. They went all the way around the property, then they went on top and mounted it with plastic mounting pieces, a full electric wire.
Wow.
Are they keeping in or keeping out?
I would say yes. Because Monument and El Paso County were there last night, so I had a chat with them. And we talked about that a while ago. Yes.
What is the area?
Remington Hills. Curled Oak Drive.
Well, thanks for bringing that up. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody putting an above ground electric fence up.
Well, invisible ones, they typically bury them.
Sure. Right.
But this is out visible. And the guy even told me, yeah, this is an electric fence. And I was going to put my Christmas lights up on the fence. And I just,
Connect to the electric.
yeah,
fence.
I was going to use their electricity.
Good.
But, I didn't want to get lit up personally. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in town hall that would like to speak? Haley?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Haley Chapin from Tri-Lakes Cares. I just wanted to ask if any of you know what's going to happen in 104 days, 2 hours, 20 minutes, and 47 seconds. Taste of Tri-Lakes Cares. So I want to ask that you all save the date on your calendar. May 13th, 5:30 to 8:30 is our annual event, Taste of Tri-Lakes Cares. Tickets will go on sale, I believe it's February 18th, but you can at least reserve the spot on your calendar now. We would love to see the town represented there as they have in the past. Excited for our annual event to spread the awareness about the work that we do in the community and share some stories of our impact in citizens who are needing us and that are struggling with the community at large. So just wanted to make sure all of you guys have that on your radar. So thank you.
Anybody else in town hall? Bill, anybody online?
No, Mayor.
All right, then we will close public comment and we'll move on to future agenda items. Madam.
Good evening, council. We have a request from some other elected officials who are trying to gauge interest in holding some regional training for elected officials. So they've asked us to check with our councils and see if there would be any interest in at least coming to an event to come hear about what that would look like going forward, what some topics might be. how often those events would be. They're looking at hosting some sort of like mixer reception to come and learn more about this. So we're just trying to gauge interest.
So the first event would certainly be a mixer. So we would be amongst other municipal council members from the Pikes Peak region. So it could possibly include municipalities from Teller County as well as those in El Paso. And if the turnout is good and the feedback is good, then we would start looking at some educational opportunities related to how we all do our jobs. And that would be, we possibly could have SURSA coming down. We could have CML coming down. We could bring, the topic came up of bringing the representatives from the Clerks Association to come down and teach us what clerks do, because I don't think everybody.
So are we hosting? Is that the
Not us.
suggestion?
It would
Somebody
be,
else?
it would be, Tina has volunteered nicely to give a presentation. No. But clerks was just one of them because we interact with them so frequently that there's, especially after an election cycle, when you have new people sitting on their councils or boards, they may not know what the clerk does, right? And I think we talked about town manager also, right? The group that is over city administrators, town administrators. Yeah, all the groups. So if there was interest by enough people, the cost burden would, we haven't discussed how that would come down, but it would not be what other organizations charge for these kind of things, because it would be shared responsibility. So I think we're looking at middle to late March, trying to avoid spring break for the mixer. If you're all interested, we will get the dates out to everybody, and we don't know the location, but it's probably going to be in Colorado Springs, so it's more centralized for the mixer. And we would, based on how many people wanted to show up, we would have to public notice it. Okay.
Would
Cool.
this include, is it Park Teller, El Paso? What's the area that you're thinking about?
I don't think Park was included at the time, but it wouldn't, we could ask them if they wanted to come down.
What we kind of initially talked about was we have a group of regional managers that meet on a quarterly basis, and it's Fremont County, Teller County, El Paso County. So that would largely be the group that's going to be reached out to first, but I don't think that would be exclusive. That's just kind of the group that we have an email distribution list for, so.
Okay, any other ones?
No, just those are the only things on my list. Unless you forget something, and then I'll remind you.
No, I have it written down.
Okay.
We haven't gotten to council
I
comments.
know.
Okay, we are going to go over money now. We have quarterly budget reports and investment reports and sales tax reports. That's going to be given to us by Steve Murray and Lori Young. Ready, set, go.
Thanks, fantastic. We're rich. Good evening. All right, let me get this up here. Alrighty. So previously, this report was sent to you on a monthly basis. It was about 50 pages, and it was hard to digest. And so I talked with Madeline and Jennifer, and they had suggested a better way to approach that. So this is going to be a quarterly report brought to you guys every quarter, just to go over the highlights. And I shortened the report down to 21 pages. It has a lot of graphs, a lot of information. I'm just going to touch on the key points here. And please stop me if you have any questions or if you want to see something added to this report for next quarter. As we look at the financial highlights, we see that sales tax collection was down 5.62% for the general fund compared to 2024. And as Lori is going to talk about later on,
This number is actually closer to 4.9 to 4.6 as we're seeing more annual filers come in towards the end of the year. So that's awesome. And then I'm going to talk about how the sales tax is dispersed. So 43% of that is going to the general fund. 14% of it's going to the public safety, the 2F fund, 21% to water infrastructure. And then the other 22% is going to the Tri-V Metro District. That's that 50-50 split based on location there. As you can see, revenues was at a 97% for the 2025 budget amounts. And really this came in for the planning fees. They were a little bit low this year at 86%. And we're going to bring you an updated schedule here very soon as we're having a third party evaluate those fees, and so we can get a better fee schedule posted. And then as we cut back on our expenses this year, we ended with 83% total expenditures, which is great. And then just one important note that these are preliminary numbers and the final numbers will be brought to you with the audit for the 25. So I'm going to just kind of touch base because all these slides are roughly the same. It's going to start with the general fund and work through the major funds that we have. And so at the bottom here, you can see the 25 year to date, the 24 year to date, and the 23 actuals. And then we have 25 over 24, and then the 25 actuals over the 25 budget. And so this first page is just general fund revenues based off the categories that we have. You can see sales taxes, obviously our biggest revenue source that we have for the town of Monument. And then this graph here is a fun way to show the breakout between Tri-V Metro District. So as we added Tri-V to our budget to show the total revenue that we have, this breaks it down and shows you how much they're receiving and how much we're receiving. And then it kind of breaks out the 5 general fund revenue sources, the top 5 revenue sources. And sales tax is way out there as well. So here we go into sales tax disbursement. This is kind of how as I touched base on the 14, the 22, and the 21% with the general fund receiving 43% of that. And then the general fund revenue percentages by category. So you can see sales tax is 55%, and then we have those little slivers of the pie that everyone else is contributing. We have our general fund expenditures. This one here is based off Public Works Administration, court planning, and then our newly added law enforcement to the general fund. This is actually my favorite image or graph on here. And it's just a really quick way to look at where we stand at a year-to-date point. And so you can see it breaks it down all the way to that 83 of total expenditures. And then another expenditures for the general fund based on personal costs, operations, debt services, and capital expenditures. And then here's a year-to-date, month-over-month revenues versus expenditures. So red is expenditures, green is revenues. So you can see where we stand each month, what we're bringing in, what we're spending. And it kind of shows a timeline of when projects are being completed. So I'm going to roll through the next couple slides because they're all going to be roughly the same as these. So we're going to look at the water enterprise revenue, the water enterprise expense, and then that monthly revenues and expenditures. We have our 2A, this is the water infrastructure revenue, their expenses, and that month over month. We have the 2F public safety, the expenditures, and then the month over month as well. Then we get into our final capital projects, the expenditures, and then you can see the month over month. And here at the bottom, I did add that there is 7 million that is a part of, it's already contributed. And so I wanted to add that in there, but it's not part of the total ending balance, as you can see there. And that is the whole report. Broke it down nice, sweet, and easy. Hope it's easy to digest. If you have any comments or feedback or anything you'd like to see, I'd be happy to add it to the next quarter. But that's our Q4 financials. Any questions?
That seems like you're on track. I mean, I was actually pretty surprised that revenues weren't lower. So, nice job, controlling all this in advance.
I went out to eat a lot in the last few months.
Yeah. So thanks for your contributions, Mitch.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to roll straight over into the our investment presentation here as well. All right. So just a quick overview on our investment policy, the preservation of capital and protection of investment policies, our investment principle, the maintenance of sufficient liquidity and anticipated cash flows, attainment of a market rate of return, the diversification to avoid incurring unreasonable market risks, and then the any applicable town policies, state statutes, and federal regulations. So our first one and one of our biggest ones is the Wells Fargo sweep account. As I mentioned in the previous presentations, this is our operating account. They get swept down to 2.5 million each night and invested overnight and returned to us that next day. For the Q4, we had 51,000 in October, we had 45,000 in November, and 44,000 in December. And as I talked with some of our investment partners, we're starting to see that those rates starting to go down. Hopefully Wells Fargo can stay right around that 4 to 4.5% that we've been at this year. Our first national CD, so this is just a 1-year auto renewing CD from February 25th to, or February 2025 to February 2026 at a 4.75 rate of return, equaling almost $8,000 there. Our Colorado Trust accounts, I'm just going to point out the big ones here. So we have our general fund reserve, the year to date of 33,000, the Monument Lake Storage Fund at 33,800, and then the water fund reserve at almost 30,000 there. That continues on with the biggest one of being the 2A water, the infrastructure fund at 185,000, and then all totaling 365,000. We have a Bach Financial, and this is interest that we receive on our payments from the COP bond. And so these are basically, if we pay early, we get a little bit of money back based on that interest. So we really don't want these to be that high because we get a higher rate of return by having the money in our operating account and it being swept each night. And so this is equaling $6,000 year to date. And then our last big one is the Piper Sandler, and this is the $10 million investment. So that the graph on the right there, it shows if we were to pull out that $10 million, where the money would fall into allocation, and majority of that being in the water with 41%. Our total revenue was $509,580 with that. And with all that being said and done, we are just shy of $1.5 million in total investments for 2025. The last thing is soon we'll be bringing you a new investment policy for review and adoption. And that'll be coming in the next couple months. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Why are we making a change to our investment policy? Is there something that's occurred? Is there a magic gold pot at the end of the rainbow that we're going to shift our focus on?
No, it just, and I can let Jennifer speak on this a little bit too if she'd like, but we're just looking to update and keep things fresh. The last one was brought to you in 2023. So we just want to review, make sure that everything is up to date and we're staying on top of our investments.
Okay, as long as we're not building data centers.
Just quickly.
Awesome. Well, I will hand it over to Lori and she's going to present the sales tax collection.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Mayor, Lori Young, Finance Manager. I just have a couple slides to go through to give you sales tax update. The numbers presented here of, 12-month view of self-collect. So you'll notice that we started off slow, which we've talked about as businesses caught on board with the self-collect process. I can tell you the prelim for January sales tax received for December filings is now at approximately 1.318. So that's a record to the town in terms of sales tax collection. That includes monthly, quarterly, and annual filers. Do you have a question? Oh, sorry. Oh. We completed one additional audit since we spoke for the last quarter. So that brought in $62,000 of sales tax collection. We have one ongoing audit that we're close to resolving. We do still have some delinquent accounts. We're trying our best to follow up with them. Emails, in-store visits, snail mail, we're doing the best we can. We have identified a long list though. So now that we have all the annual filings in, we can start whittling the list down more because of the known that, okay, they were the annual filer or not. We currently have 3 notices of final determination issued to 3 local businesses for your awareness. These are businesses that we have repeatedly reached out to on their delinquencies and they're not responding. So a 30-day assessment, pretty much we do an evaluation on stores nearby, similar businesses within the town, come up with an estimate and present them with an amount due in hopes that they respond to us in 30 days.
Is the 103K that you've got there, is that the amount that they're delinquent?
Yes, that is the delinquency notice that we've issued. It's through over 3 businesses, but yes.
What
One
happened?
business is going back to 2021. They have not filed.
What can we do, you know, if they decide not to pay? I mean, what do you do?
The final action is we can lock their doors. We would
Yikes.
hope it would not come to that.
Yeah.
I mean, we have reached out pretty much every month repeatedly. We don't know if it's going to the wrong contact, but we don't believe so. We've been to the store, we've handed out letters.
Do we, and I don't know that it's allowed, is there coordination at the state level to find out if this is also they're delinquent with their state taxes or even federal taxes filing?
So we have reached out to the state, but they will not disclose that
That's what I
information.
thought.
Like we can't disclose business information to our town. They will not disclose that information to us.
And this is all sales tax money, right? So this is money that was collected from customers
Correct. In kind, yes.
and not turned over, right?
Yes. So we're still trying. We're hoping that that notice enforces the urgency of them responding to us.
Would there be any use to having our attorney send a letter? Like, I don't, but if them visiting doesn't
So what we'll
motivate
do
them.
next is, after we've exhausted all of our options, we'll talk with our attorney to understand what our next options
Okay.
are.
Okay, fair. Thank you.
Some good news though is now that we're rolling into the 2nd year of self-collect, we are building data so we can do, future analysis and have comparable data. The next slide, I just wanted to highlight for you that we are with the removal of the vendor fee discount that we decided to do for this year, so this was the amount of revenue we lost in 25 as a result of allowing that discount. And so we will approximately recover at least that and ideally more. And then the final slide is just to show you that we are still getting Department of Revenue. So businesses that are filing with the state for back taxes, so prior to 25, they are still remitting that information to us. And also want to let you know, we're still experiencing a statewide SUTS issue. We were on a call with them at the end of last month, to which an executive within the GovOS department accepted full responsibility. She issued apologies, and they've escalated the problem. The issue is that payments are being made into bank accounts, but the transaction is not being made within the GovOS MuniRev system, not our system, but at the state level. So our sales tax filers have two options to file electronically. They can file through SUTS, which is the state use tax system, or they can go on to the Town of Monuments GovOS system. They're both GovOS. MuniRevs is the software. And so that's just a lag with us receiving payments. That's all I have, sales
We
tax.
still loving the software?
Yeah.
So
I
the
think the best
information.
part of it is just being able to, have the data and the real-time interaction and being able to talk to the businesses and, answer their questions.
Well, the information's been great. And
Right.
Yeah.
ever since you've taken over this massive project, by the way. So thanks for jumping in with both feet.
Yeah, and like I said, now that we have a new year, every month we'll build, trend data and analysis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lori.
All right, we'll move on to council comments. Any council members have anything they would like to bring up? I've got one thing. I think you all saw the email. The town of Kiowa lost their mayor, Mayor Teresa Howard. I've got to work with her a little bit, meet with her up at various CML events. She was a very pleasant person. And it was totally unexpected. I sent a nice email to them and told them that the council sends their condolences, and yeah, so if you want to reach out, I'm sure they'd appreciate it if you wanted to. Any other council comments?
No, just going to thank you, Mayor, for supporting the cookie jar and all those revenue coming back to the town. And
I can't have, I do not go to the cookie jar. I can't eat cookies.
there's a picture of you in there, so there's evidence. Just saying.
He did
Yeah.
support the ribbon cutting.
Yeah, I supported the ribbon cutting.
Don't defend him.
There was
Don't
no
defend him.
ribbon cutting. There was a hand
He was
going
there
into the
with
little jar on the, and then also just lastly that for everyone to know that clerks are people too. So thank you.
Clerks are people too.
She's small but mighty. You better watch out.
Be careful. Welcome to 2026.
Okay, we will be going into executive session, which means we will be asking everybody who is not participating in executive session to get out. So we will not be making any decisions that are public, correct? This is informational only. And so we will be adjourning from the executive session.
I
That's
make a motion to, what? I make a motion to move into executive session pursuant to 24 Tax 6, Tac 402 sub 4 sub VCRS for a conference with the town attorney to receive legal advice on specific legal questions relating to the Elite Cranes zoning enforcement matter and adjourning afterwards.
Second.
Motion in a second. Oh, damn, I just exited the software.
Oh.
Can't.
Motion passes 6-1.
Hang on, I'll go back in. Okay, I vote yes.
That passed 7-0.
All right, the motion passed 7-0. Yeah, come on up, take your picture. Everybody quick, hide the screens. Yeah, we can all stand. Yeah, well, hang on a second.
I'll stand for.
Come on, Susanna.
That was.
Good.
Of course.
That's okay.